welcome to the New American Dream Podcast. I'm your host, George Gibson. All right, today we have a great show today. This couple is killing it in the real estate game. Most people I have on the show are buying single-family homes, duplexes, quadplexes, but guess what? These people own over 600 multifamily units. So get ready for a great show. They're going to give you tips on how to manage, how to scale your business, and just the whole thing about real estate is being a business and syndicating and becoming instead of just staying small, we want to scale our business into a large multifamily. And this is a great opportunity to learn about multifamily dealing. So get ready to whack them. We have Melissa and Alan. Here we go.
All right. Welcome to the show. We have Melissa and Alan.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. So, all right. So let the people, we'll start off with just get to know you. Let the people know like what your guys' business is and what you do.
Well, so I'm Melissa and this is Alan, and we have been investing in real estate since 2016. So we were 30 years old when we started. We're 35 now. And our very first investment property was a 54-unit apartment complex. So we skipped the whole single family and went straight to multifamily, which, like, looking back now is kind of crazy. But at the time, we were very sure that this is what we wanted to do. So fast forward
4.5 years?
Yeah, 4.5 years now. We've sold that property, and Alan has syndicated 3 more multifamily properties, a 31 unit, a 76 unit, and then a 240 unit.
Wow.
And then we were partners with a guy who also syndicated 3 properties that we also own a part of as well. So anyway, yeah, the real estate business has taken off way quicker than we ever thought it would. So yeah, we're really happy with.
Right. So you say you started. It's crazy because you say you started at 30 and you're 35 now. Because I always think like when you master something, it takes like 5 to 7 years to master it. Do you guys feel like you're in the groove now, as far as the business?
Yeah, I think we got a kind of a head start because we joined part of a group here in Houston that's very large and pretty well known across the country now. And so part of that is, mentoring and education and guidance like that. So I think being part of that group and being part of that network definitely allowed us to go
Speed up
faster, move faster, and have the network and have the investor base and all that. So definitely helped for sure.
Right. Yeah, because you guys take a different approach. From the most people, like just seeing on social media and whatnot, people like start out single family, then maybe a 4-plex and a 16-plex. You guys just like basically went to the big boys right away, it seemed like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, before we go all the way into the real estate, like let us know, how did you grow up as far as like where at and far as like your class? Were you like, did you grow up here in the United States, as far as middle class, poor?
Yeah, I'll start. I actually was born in Taiwan. I actually moved to New Jersey when I was 6 years old. My dad had a job transfer over to New Jersey, so moved the whole family from Taiwan to northern New Jersey. Was there for about 10 years. So when I was 6 to 16, I was in New Jersey. And then at that point, another job transfer brought us down to Houston. And then so 16 to, last 2 years of high school I was here in Houston, went to college in Austin, came back after 5 years and been in Houston ever since. So grew up, and then Melissa can talk about her childhood.
You grew up like your family was pretty well off.
Definitely upper middle class for sure.
Right.
Relatively comfortable.
Were they business owners or 9 to 5? Like,
no, my dad was an engineer. He was one of these old school guys who literally worked for one company his entire career. He's one of those like career men. If you,
I know. That's exactly what this podcast is about. Because I was at the post office for 5 years, and everybody there was for like 20, 25, 30 years, and I was like, oh, I can't do this for no 30 years, no way. And it was getting scary.
I always ask my dad, I was like, why? How did you ever decide to stay? He was just one of those guys who he was comfortable and it was fine for him, and nothing ever, was such a big deal that he was like, no, I'm comfortable. I like my steady job, and it was good for him. So
Yeah, even like the older people on the mail routes, they always say, "Oh, you got a job, you got good benefits." But I think back then, like life was just different. Maybe you didn't have social media, so I didn't see such and such person on a private jet or in Hawaii. So they just was focused on their one community.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we definitely have more options now, and we see what those options are. So, um, not a lot of people stay in their jobs their whole lives anymore.
Right. So how did you grow up, Melissa?
I grew up very differently from Alan, very poor. Like my family were refugees from Cambodia, so my parents were born in Cambodia, but I was born here. Um, we, because they were refugees, they came here not speaking English. They didn't have any money. They came with the clothes on their backs. So we were very poor for a long time, like on welfare until I was like 8 or 9. And it wasn't until I went to college that my parents had some money. And they really only started doing okay for themselves when they decided to open a donut shop.
Right.
So once they opened one donut shop, they were able to open 3 more, and then they eventually sold off each one, and we're just left with one. But yeah, the
Right.
donut shop did well for them. Just the whole entrepreneurial, life. However, they worked really hard for it. With the donut shop, you're open 7 days a week. You have to wake up really early.
Yeah, 4 o'clock in the morning probably.
Earlier
Well,
than that, yeah.
the baker
Oh.
would wake up at like 2 or 3, and
Wow.
then yeah, and then my mom would wake up at like 4.
Right.
But
So you did like say like growing up. So you did see what the entrepreneur style would look like, basically being around the donut shop, right?
I did, but because my parents worked for themselves and worked so hard to make money, I never wanted to do what they did. I never wanted to be a business owner. I wanted to go work for a company. I wanted to get benefits, and I wanted to like climb the ranks. And so that's what I did when I graduated college. I went to work for an accounting firm, and I was like, oh, being partner is going to be so great. I have benefits, and 3 years in, I quit that job. I hated it.
All right. Look. All right. This is the first time right here. So both of you guys got college degrees.
Yeah.
All right. Let
Yes.
me guess. So Melissa, you got an accounting degree. I'm guessing now. And Alan, you got engineer degree.
Actually, I'm the accountant of the family, so I'm a CPA actually. Yeah, so
Oh, you're
I'm
CPA.
actually-
Okay.
Yeah, Melissa has an MIS degree, and so she actually went and worked for an accounting firm as an IT auditor. So
Okay,
that's how
okay.
I went into the Big Four accounting area. So
Right. A lot of real estate investors, for some reason, are engineers or accountant. It seemed like from what I listened, they'd be like, "Oh, I was an engineer or accountant."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think an accounting degree is really good to have as an investor because you really understand the financial side of it. So even though that's not what he does as a career now, I definitely think it was a helpful background.
Correct. Yes, I got an accounting degree too, and I like my teacher said, your house was a asset, but then once we read Rich Dad Poor Dad, your house is a liability.
Yeah.
yeah,
So that was like school. You taught me wrong, I guess. But no, but no, the accounting degree, like people always say, you're not using your degree, but like you said, in real estate, accounting plays a huge part in far as just recognizing numbers and stuff like that.
absolutely. Yeah, it's a great foundation. I highly
Right.
recommend.
So what would you say, as far as in college, your GPA was like, what, were you like a top student, like 3.5 GPA?
I think I graduated with a 3.7 or 3.8.
Yeah, I was probably around there too. I don't
Yeah.
recall now. Yeah, it's been a
I
while.
was a good student.
Yeah,
No,
Melissa's
that's
always
right. It's going in. Can you hear me?
yeah.
Okay. Yes. No, because yeah, I was like a 2.7, 2.8 student. So like once I guess you guys are buying multifamily at a large rate, you can't just be an average person and buy these big deals at, large numbers, I don't think. Like 50 units.
Well, I think you can be an average person. I think anybody can do it as long as you have the drive and the
Right.
passion. And I mean, you certainly have to have a level of knowledge and a skill set, but I think anyone can get to that point. But yes, the average Joe off the street, without the education and the kind of mentoring part of
Well,
it,
I say it helped being smart. You know what I mean?
yeah, you do have to
Yeah.
you do have to have some wits about you. It's
Right.
for sure.
Okay. So, all right, tell us the first deal you guys bought. What does that look like?
Yeah, that deal was down in Texas City. We're based out of Houston. It was a property, 54 units. Um, yeah, that one was our very first property. We partnered 50-50 with our other business partner, and him and his wife, and we, that first property was scary for sure.
Yeah.
Because you're searching, we're up late at night looking at LoopNet and all these things, and finally we realized, the better way is to just network with brokers and go look, at their pocket listings and all that stuff. And so we finally found this one, and in multifamily, it takes a while to get deals closed. So it took us probably 6 months to close on that deal. Through the whole due diligence process and closing and financing and all that. So yeah, that was a fun one. We bought that deal in February of 2016.
Okay.
And so yeah, we no longer have that deal.
We sold
Sold
it
it
in
in October 2018.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we
So, wait, did you find that on like LoopNet?
No, it was a broker that we networked with that
Okay.
brought us. So no, I don't. LoopNet is a good place to learn and
Right.
look at different assets and properties, but it's definitely not the place to actually find a deal.
Right. They said that's where the bad deals fall at, I guess.
yeah.
All right. So, all right, you find that deal. What does because most of my listeners are trying to buy rental properties, maybe like multifamily, four units, 3 units. I ain't gonna say everybody's trying to buy 50 unit yet, but what's the difference in far as the inspection process? Do you actually go in each unit, or do you just randomly choose units to check
Uh,
out?
that part of that due diligence process, you go into every single unit because then you can figure out your budgets, kind of your rehab budget, your any capex items that you need to be aware of. What's the state of these units when we have to go turn them? Is
Right.
it horrible? What kind of condition you have to go and figure out. Then based on those numbers that you get, then you run your analysis and see if it still makes sense. But no,
Right.
you walk every single unit, and
Every
even
single
on our large deals that we're looking at 200, 300 units.
every
If we
unit.
get under contract and we get to the due diligence phase of things, we're walking every single unit. So we're bringing a fairly large team and inspecting every single unit.
Wow. That's got to be a big inspection bill.
So we bring at this point we bring in our own people.
Yeah.
So we have our
Oh,
team, our on-site staff, our maintenance staff. We take them off property or whatever, and then we have a network of investors, friends. We invite some of those people to come help us do that. So no,
right.
some people do pay a third-party management company to go inspect and do all that stuff. But we built relationships, and especially like general contractors, they'll come do inspections for us for an entire day for free on their dime because they're willing to do that for us because we give them a lot of work. So
Okay.
yeah, it's free. It's zero cost to us to do the inspection. It just takes time and effort,
Right.
but
Okay.
definitely worth doing up front.
All right. So do you far as financing, can you go to the bank and be like, "Hey, I'm buying this 54 unit, this the price," or is it a different way to finance such a large, amount of apartments?
Yeah, that one is a little bit different. So on the smaller ones, for example, on that 54 unit, we could have gone directly to a local bank or a credit union and worked directly with them. But I personally, the better approach for that I found in my investing is to go through a broker. We have a well-known broker here, a mortgage broker here in Houston that we work with directly and exclusively, and they basically just go out to the market and say, hey, my client has this deal on the contract. He's looking for financing. Then they go out and do quotes and get us quotes, and we work very closely with them, even in the acquisition process, even before it becomes a live deal, before an LOI is accepted. We go and talk to them, and they basically become part of our team.
Right.
So you have to have this teamwork in place.
Right. So yes, as far as teamwork, you guys are married. You're doing real estate together. Me and my wife still work a job. She's at the post office still, but I can just imagine when she quit. And what role do you guys feel like you play best? Like, it seemed like Alan, you're more the numbers guy, and she probably more maybe management. But what roles do you guys play in as far as the whole business?
So in the beginning, with the first apartment complex that we bought, Alan was more the numbers guy, but I did stuff like come up with policies and procedures for our staff. I did market comparisons.
Yeah, market survey.
So I would physically go to other apartments in the area and pretend I was interested in renting one of their units just to see the condition of them.
Wow.
And the rents that they were going for, and that gave us an idea of, whether we were at market, too high or too low. So honestly, I did kind of everything. Like one day we installed luxury vinyl plank flooring, and I was scraping the paint off of the floor because the tenant was supposed to move in the next day. So I literally did anything that needed to be done.
Right.
Yeah, managing the managers, managing the staff. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I did with that property. And then as when we sold that one and Alan started syndicating, that's when I stepped back and I went back to nursing.
All right.
But now we're ending our partnership. So I'll be stepping back in as a co-managing director with Alan.
Okay. So neither one of you work 9 to 5 right now, or you do, Melissa?
I do. Well,
oh, you do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when we bought our first property back in 2016, we were both still working full time.
Well as our partners as well. We were all working.
Right.
I was working a consulting as a consultant. Melissa was a nurse. We were definitely both working full time. So it's definitely possible to do multifamily, still working full time. But as obviously as we transitioned into doing more deals and larger deals, it became much more intensive on my time. And now that I'm responsible for other investors' money and their hard-earned retirement funds and all that, I stepped into the real estate investing and management full time. So I'm doing this full time, as my day to day, and while Melissa still works. So
right. So I want to ask this question. It'd be hard for you. It might be hard for you to answer because imagine like me, I bought single family homes. So right now I got like 12 properties. So what if you, because you're buying these properties with investors, what if you guys had decided to buy duplexes up to 4 units at max? And instead of having partners, you just work together, just you and your wife. Do you think you would see more profit that way? Because now you got so many investors. Or do you think just scaling big and having partners come out better, as far as profit?
I think it depends on everyone's goals and aspirations. If you don't want to have that burden of investors, with you and doing these big deals, because it becomes a fairly sophisticated and complex business once you have hundreds of people that are in your investor list and part of your asset with you, right? Part of the investment with you. So everybody, I think, has. For me, to answer your question more directly, for us, I think it's more beneficial to scale larger.
Right.
Because there's a lot of benefits that we get out of it, kind of personally from doing that.
Right.
But
it's not. It definitely is not for everybody.
Yeah. Correct.
But income-wise, we make money a couple different ways through syndication that we wouldn't be able to do with, like a duplex or a fourplex.
Right.
So syndication, we make money off of management fees and then also the cash flow. So yeah, and the cash flow.
Right.
And yeah.
I get okay. So all right, for me to buy a good deal, like right now, I'm in Florida. So a good deal, like say I was to buy a fourplex, right? My objective after like taxes, insurance, and the mortgage and maintenance is to clear like maybe like at minimum 500, minimum maybe 400, $500. As far as apartment complex, if you all right, say I'm buying 100 units, do you guys numbers still be you want $400 or $500 a unit, or is it more like now that we buying so many units, we can drop it down to maybe $100 a door cash flow?
So we're more talking, in the larger deals in the apartment complex in multifamily. We're more talking about cash on cash return on a percentage basis versus like
Okay,
a dollar per unit level. So
right,
we're right now with this tight market, we're kind of at the height of the market. A good deal for us right now can average anywhere between 6.5% to 8% cash on cash return after net to investors,
right.
net passive investors. So that's kind of the target that we're looking for, and we're looking for also in a 5 to 6 year window, the ability with the cash on cash returns, kind of from operations, just free cash flow from operations, plus the additional um, dividend or return from refinance or a sale. The
Right.
total return over 5 or 6 years, I'm targeting about 100%. So if we can double investor money in
Correct.
5 to 6 years, that's kind of what we're targeting.
Okay. And also, what else was I say? Oh yeah, the class. What class apartments are you looking at? C class, B class?
Yeah, we're mostly we're
C.
all in C, but our investment thesis kind of going forward is looking for at least C plus B minus, kind of
Correct.
moving it up a little bit, because C class property is definitely the returns are good, but it's also very management intensive.
Right.
Uh,
I can already feel your pain coming through the computer.
so even
No,
though we are not the on-site managers managing,
right.
the day to day, it's still you still have to manage the property managers manage all those on-site people, and you hear the stories and you're like, maybe I'm not so keen on having to deal with all those issues going forward. But
Right. Nah, because I've been thinking about it because a lot of my classes are like C class properties, and I got a couple B class properties, and my stress level is a lot better with the quality. When I have the better homes, the stress
right,
level is less because I don't have as many phone calls.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. So what else? Oh, so what is the rent like? So is it like $1,200 rent?
So in Houston, our average effective rents across our three properties, I have to look this up. I'm going from memory, is about just under 800, 805, I think is, the last time I looked was our average effective rent.
Average. Whoa, that's kind of low. 800.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here in Florida, you can't really find like I'm a realtor also, so people always asking me to help them find a place to stay. And honestly, if you're looking for something under $1,200, it's stressful for me because it's not really places unless you find like a somebody like an older mom and pop who would just rent it out for less than that. But as far as management places, anything under $1,000, $1,200 is extremely hard to find right now.
Oh.
Oh, interesting. What part of Florida?
Vero Beach is probably like an hour east of Orlando
Okay.
and an hour north. But here it's definitely in need of affordable housing. That's one
Yes.
thing I'm like, that's like my they say your why in real estate, like what's your why, your big why. That's one of my things. I want to be able to provide affordable housing, but not in the hood affordable housing. I'm talking about because the people I rent to, they actually got jobs. Nobody has missed rent since COVID. So, but we need more places that are affordable and the grass look good still, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Houston's definitely still relatively affordable. But certainly, yeah, there's definitely a lack of affordable housing in across the nation.
Across the
Even
board.
areas. So.
It. But what's one thing in your you use right now in your life that make your life easier?
I don't know.
Something you use on a daily basis, like that you can't live without to make your business run better or just life period.
Oh, I think we have a regional manager
Right.
who she was actually our very first property manager at that apartment in Texas City. So she started as a property manager, and when we sold it, she came with us to our other properties.
Right.
And once we acquired our sixth property, we made her the regional manager. And so giving some of the workload to her has definitely made our lives a lot easier, and we can actually go out of the country and not have to worry so much because we know that she can take care of things. And so she manages the property managers at each apartment complex, and then we
Okay.
manage.
Okay. See, like most people answer it like, I got a nanny or somebody who come clean the house. But it's like you're real estate people, so that's your nanny.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we've realized recently, I've also, hired an executive assistant, and that's been a huge blessing because, basically as a real estate investor, as a business owner, you wear every single hat, right?
Right.
So the ability to you know, kind of delegate some of those tasks to, my assistant, that obviously then frees up my time to do other things and have a better balanced lifestyle, and then be able to also then grow the business, work on the business rather than in the business, and so be able to hopefully from here on out scale faster. Obviously, with this whole pandemic situation, it's kind of put a little bit of a pause on kind of our scaling,
Right.
and our growth. No, but just being able to have a good team in place to handle all those different aspects
Right.
of life obviously frees up a lot of my kind of mental,
Now,
capacity to do other stuff. So it's
yeah. So I was gonna ask, because I understand what you're saying, but it feel like I can't hire another person that gonna think just like me. And evidently, the person you hire, your assistant, has to be able to multitask and do a lot of things. How did you find that person that can, basically you trusting him with making all them decisions?
well, they don't necessarily make decisions
Right.
necessarily. Obviously the big decisions ultimately still come back to me, and everything is then approved back through us. But it was it's actually a friend of ours that we went to college with, and Melissa is known for a long time. So she was looking for a change because she went to LA and wanted to do have an acting career and did all that. But now she's back in Houston, so she was looking for a job, and it's like, well, that's a perfect fit. And then so slowly and slowly, we kind of integrated her into our business and started giving her more and more responsibility. And so because we've had that long-term relationship with her, obviously that builds trust and everything. So we're comfortable kind of having her do a lot of the stuff that we need her to do.
Now that makes sense. Cause my thing is like right now, it's like me, my wife, and I got an investor partner, but he doesn't live here. So all the day-to-day tasks is kind of like leaning on me. And I try to hire within my family, but like I'm starting to think that me hiring for my family, I'm not making my business grow as fast because I'm not hiring the best person that I need. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had this discussion with my business partner, and he was not on board necessarily as much with promoting the lady from a manager position to a regional position.
Correct.
But my position on that is put the people in place now where you want to be a few years from now, because then you have the team in place to grow into, right? So
Right.
maybe you're taking a few steps back from, because obviously there's a cost to do all this stuff and put a team in place, but willing to take kind of a little bit of a haircut on kind of our own compensation to be able to afford people to bring on our team is
Right.
definitely nice to have. Then we can grow into it and then be able to grow faster and bigger with that team instead of just me, you know, having to do all this accounting stuff and all this, paying bills and all this stuff to, day to day.
It adds up.
It adds up, and you're not being able to work on your business, or you're just you create another job for yourself, basically.
Right.
Yeah, and that goes back to you being busy, but you're not being busy with the right things. You're
Right.
doing tasks that aren't adding value. You're just
Right.
doing tasks that need to be done that
Right.
someone else can do.
And for the listeners, that's what, like when I first quit my job, I'm like, okay, I can cut all my yards now, so I can eliminate that cost, right? So for like the first couple months, I started cutting all the rental property yards. But I'm also a realtor, so I'm cutting the yard, and then a person calling me to show them a house. So I'm like, man, it's only cost me $25 to pay somebody to cut this yard, and I'm up here cutting the yard, and I could be making 5-6 grand selling the house. So for the listeners, definitely for the listeners, people think by doing everything you're saving money, but sometimes if it could be beneath you, I can say something like that, right?
No, I think there's, you have to figure out what the best and highest use of your time
Your time.
is. And, as a real estate investor, you should be working on getting deals, making money that way, sourcing deals, finding deals, and closing deals rather than doing. I mean, I see a lot of this as well in my business. A lot of other owners, they want to do things in house, they want to do things themselves, do the very same thing. Like, oh, let's go do landscaping ourselves. Well, you could have used that time to, be doing a lot of other more valuable things rather than just saving the $25 that in your example to go cut a bunch of yards, right?
Right. Yeah. It's just hard. I guess when you think about it, I'm telling the listeners to try it. I mean, try it out. If you feel like you got more, if you feel like your time be more wise somewhere else, do that instead and hire it out. But I was gonna say, what do you guys besides? I mean, real estate might be your purpose, but what do you think like your life purpose is? Like overall, like you're brought on this earth to do.
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, that's a deep question.
Now, I'm saying that because like I was at the post office and I was like really hurting because I knew I was supposed to be doing real estate like deep down inside because like that's all I really listened to it on podcasts while I was in the mail truck. That's all people call me about. If that's all they enjoy. Should I buy this? Should I do this? So I knew that was my purpose. But yeah, what do you think your purpose is? It could be real estate, but I'm just asking.
I I think it's hard. Um, I can't say definitively what I think my purpose is, but I can tell you just by sharing my story on Instagram and just sharing the little things I've learned with other people. Like, I still kind of feel like a rookie when it comes to this stuff, but then you realize that there are people who are even newer than you in real estate, and to be able to show someone that it is possible, like a girl from the hood grew up and
Right.
became successful, like you can do it too. I think that um, has really, I don't know, like it has really resonated with me. And being on Instagram and constantly trying to find content to publish takes a lot of time,
Right.
but there are days that I am more active and someone has found value in it. It feels really good.
Yeah, right. And it seemed like because sometimes a lot of people they come work for me, and I'm like, the first thing they say, "How much you paying?" And sometimes I notice, like you just said, you post on there, you post some on Instagram, and you might inspire some person way on the other coast from you. But that's more impactful to the whole world, even though you might didn't make a dime from that. Make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So what about you, Alan? What you think?
No, I think very similarly. I think obviously now we're at a stage. I still feel like there's a lot of work to be done, but at the end of the day, I think you know I want to create kind of the word I like to use is legacy. Just being able to grow our business and show kind of our future kids and our families to be able to you know to create a life kind of on your own terms, that you
Right.
don't need to follow the traditional path to the traditional path to success, where it's go to school, make good grades, go get a good job, stay in that job or in that industry for 40 years and retire and don't run out of money before you die. That mindset,
Right.
I want to show people that maybe that's not necessarily the right mindset, and there's alternative paths to success and have a fulfilling life. Ultimately, that's what we are in this for. We're not in it for to make a huge amount of money or whatever. We just want to be doing this to have a good balanced lifestyle. Because when we were, I was in consulting, I saw my boss working, he was still, he was 62 years old, still working 80 to 90 hours a week, and then every single week. And it was like, this is impossible. I can't go on like this. That would be not fair to my family and to Melissa and to my future kids to be in that environment, that lifestyle, and that work environment. So just
Right.
being able to get out of that and showing people, you can have balance, still make a good living, make a good, income, and do things kind of on your own terms.
Right. And that's I get for the listeners, like people who work like 50, 60 hours a week. Like we go rent a car at Enterprise. I don't know if Enterprise in Texas, it should be. But the employees there, they always like running, like they just drain here, especially with COVID, everybody renting cars. And I always talk to people because I like to find out people life purpose. Some people just be like going through the motion if you ever look at, because they just got a job. So I think, and them people, they feel like they doing something because they're busy, but it's not impactful, working 60. Because I think once you work over 50 hours, I don't think you're really helping your job no more, honestly.
No, then you're just doing work just to say you're doing work.
Right.
You're not doing making any value or adding any value at that point.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Cause when I was working at the post office, I worked like 48, 50 hours a week. But on my one day off, I felt like I like made $10,000 because I was doing stuff with real estate, and it was like making me jump forward,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, this last few questions. All right. If you could spend a day with a mentor, who would it be?
I'm
Grant
obsessed.
Cardone.
I don't know much about Grant Cardone, but
Oh,
I'm
okay.
Bigger Pockets podcast, so probably Brandon Turner.
I was just talking to Brandon Turner. Okay, y'all gotta go in bigger pockets. Okay.
I think everybody says no, and it's not Grant Cardone because he, for me personally, he's a little too flashy, but that's
Right.
just personally. I think I would obviously choose Warren Buffett.
Wow.
I think he would probably have the most drop the most knowledge bombs, I guess.
Right.
He's obviously done this, a long time. He's not just like a flash in the pan kind of like social media influencer guy. He's very, humble and still lives in the same house and all this stuff. Like he's, obviously he's one of the gifts to the world, really. So.
Nah, yeah, you're right. But I want to ask you this: do you think, because everybody think Grant Cardone is like going crazy with the COVID, people paying rent, he can't pay the investors. Do you think, as far as you being a syndicator, right now he's having a tough time, as far as getting so much money from people and then people not paying rent?
From my experience, I don't think the rent collections have been that poor.
Right.
We average about over the last April through July, we've averaged about 94-95% versus pre-COVID. So we're only down about 5 to 6%, somewhere in that range.
Wow.
Kind of income wise. So we have also similarly kind of paused distributions just because there's a big unknown out there.
Right.
What happens when unemployment stops? Well, let's see. Let's not be too rash about it. We can do distributions, but I think Grant's probably in that same position of he's just being cautious.
Right.
He's not wanting to pay his investors or doesn't have the money to pay his investors. I think he does. He's just being cautious like everybody else is in this industry right now because there's this big question mark. It's just so uncertain.
Correct. Okay. And far as this is not with the questions, but far as being a syndicator, like me, one of my best friends, he got a job, so he go to work, and then I'm kind of like the man on the ground. I kind of go out here, buy the deals, and do all the work and control the real estate. But far as like doing networking and syndication, what do you recommend a person should do in order to start syndicating? Like I have people try to offer me money to go invest, but I also don't want to be like want to lose nobody money, basically.
So We didn't jump into syndication.
Right.
We owned our own apartment complex as part of a 50-50 partnership in the beginning, and that's what I recommend, and that's what I would be comfortable with. Like, before you take anybody's money, own your own apartment complex. Make sure you know what you're doing before you play with someone else's money.
Okay. And as far as buying a 50-unit apartment complex, how many people do you have to have, like, on average to work it? Like, you got, like, one maintenance guy, one receptionist for a 50-unit?
One maintenance person and one property manager.
Wow.
And
I feel
that
like you
also
need
that's heavily dependent on the type of property, but for like a C class, asset, then yeah,
right
that's probably about average. Yeah.
one person. That's okay. It's not bad. All right. Um, Best advice you give to yourself when you was 25 years old?
Um, oh my gosh. Probably save up as much money as you can so that you can start investing in real estate.
Right. But we wasted so much when we were 25.
Yeah, this is where I kind of agree with Grant's philosophy, because his philosophy is like hustle real hard for 5 to 10 years.
Right.
Basically, his term is stack money, right? Stack money, the same thing that Melissa is saying. Save as much money. Don't go out in bars and try to impress anybody, by spending 200, 300, $400 at the club one night on drinks. Save your money, be wise, very deliberate in your saving plan. And then also you have to work on the income side too. So find a job that has a big income potential,
Right.
whether that's consulting, investment banking, what have you. Um,
Or
or
lots of
sales,
sales,
yeah,
yeah.
sales jobs as well, because you can
You have
control
good commissions.
Right.
how much you
Potentially.
make. But then, yeah, just save as much, keep stacking, and then, I say when you're 25, go buy that first single family house and get your feet wet, get started. Yeah, we're relatively young. You were relatively young when you started, but we wish we would have started 5 years before,
Before.
right?
Right.
But again, I don't think we regret any of our timing, because I don't think we would have been ready at 25. First
Me
of all,
either.
from a financial standpoint, and from a maturity standpoint, I don't think we would have been ready at 25. Just me personally. Um, but then yeah, so at 30, I think we were ready to jump in and say, okay, let's go. But if someone's had the education to start 5 years before, they're ready, go for it.
Right. If I could say one thing, if you're like 25, don't just think you have to use your major to do it for somebody else. Think about starting your own business. Like, if I was to get my accounting degree, immediately I thought I had to go work for a firm. But it's so many things you can do for, like, not maybe not accounting degree, but different degrees. You can still use it for yourself. Like, you can go do it. Especially right now with like right now I'm rehabbing a house, man. Plumbers, electrician, it's a shortage of them people, and they make good money. To me, it seemed like.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
no, for
Yeah.
sure. No,
Oh,
I think also the other part I want to get across is don't be scared. I think a lot of people kind of have that fear of, oh man, I don't want to screw up. I don't want to buy this deal and lose a bunch of money. You know, as long as you're smart about it, and not just going out there and buying just deals just to buy a deal, you'll be fine.
right. And when you haven't bought a deal yet, like before I bought my first deal, what held me up so long was asking people, should I buy this deal, or is it a good deal? But a person I'm asking don't even have an investment property, so that's the wrong person. They
Exactly.
kept giving me, yeah. Okay, so what's a book that impacted your life?
The first real estate related or even business related book I read was Rich Dad Poor Dad, and
Right,
that completely changed my mindset. And I made him read it after I read it. Um, so I know a lot of people say that, but
right.
it's a great book.
Yeah, that's the best book to get started. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean that's the I think first of all, I think you have to change your mindset about everything. Kind of what we were talking about earlier about the traditional path to success, right? You had to first change that mindset. So that was really the turning point, the light bulb that went off in my head. I was like, wow, you know, what we're doing now is like, man, it's that old mindset. You can't go by that mindset no more.
Right. So, and I can take it by at the skill level you guys are at, real estate, like right, even now, because I listen to a lot of Bigger Pockets podcasts, and I was telling Brandon Turner, I was like, normally when I read a real estate book, or even listen to a podcast, I don't learn that much from real estate no more. I might take one or two things from what people say or a book, because after a while, it's the same thing. You buy, you get 15% return, and you just repeat process, you know? But where I was going with that. No, what I was saying. Oh no. Oh yeah, you people wait, what did you just say?
You were talking about your talk with Brandon Turner and
About the books and mindset and all that.
Oh yeah, the mindset. Hold on, cause I gotta. Yes, when I listen to podcasts and read real estate books, I don't learn that much anymore. So now I start to read different books, far as just like business. Like it's a book I'm reading. I read the the biblical book of business. It's like basically doing business by the Bible. So like real estate books, yeah, I read them every now and then, but more like philosophy and just get my brain to think, or just relaxing, not even thinking, helps me with real estate now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference. But okay, uh, what is your version of the new American dream now? The old American dream was your dad, you know, he worked the job for 30 years, he retired, and hopefully he traveled the world. And then, you know, that was the old American dream. What is your guys' version of the new American dream that you want to live?
Yeah, for me personally, I think it's to build a business that we still own and operate, but then offer opportunities for you know our regional manager to grow up and basically run our business for us and do a lot of that business for us while we're still hands on and still kind of involved, but have the ability to go on vacation for a month without having to worry about, well, are things going to be done, with the business and with the properties and things like that. So being able to create a business that allows us the flexibility, because we are avid travelers, we love to travel, and before COVID, we would go on 4, 5, 6 pretty large trips a year. So we want to be able to basically have a lifestyle business, quote unquote, but still be involved in it while we're doing our travels, but still be able to do a third travel of the year, and then the remaining kind of being back home at a home base here at Houston.
Right.
That would be kind of the American dream for us.
Right. And so where are some places you recommend that you have been that some nice places to go?
Norway.
Yeah,
Norway.
Norway, Denmark, that whole Scandinavia
Right.
region. We really like that region a lot.
We love South Africa.
South
He
Africa.
loves New Zealand.
New Zealand is amazing. We've only been to the South Island. We want to go back.
Right.
Do the whole north and south again. Um, if you have never been on a safari, definitely go on a safari.
Where did you go in that in South Africa?
Tanzania.
Oh, okay. Wow.
But safari anywhere is going to be amazing.
Yeah,
Jeez.
really, really cool. Very, very cool.
Okay. That was great. All right. So let the people know where they can find you at if they want to reach out and invest with you guys, or just have any questions. Where can they find you?
My Instagram handle is InvestorGirlMel. It's kind of just me, but I'm thinking of rebranding to include Alan, but I just
Right.
really haven't thought of a new handle yet.
Right. Okay. And
Yeah, and then so our new company that was newly formed just in the last month, it's called Lumen Capital. So you can go to
Capital.
lumencp.com.
Oh,
LUMENCP.com.
okay. You have to send that to me. I'll put it in the show notes so people can check that out. But yeah, thanks for coming on the show, and look forward to maybe meeting you one day in Texas or something.
Yeah,
thanks for having
absolutely.
us.
Yes.